Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Brendan Rodgers has finally given us some insight into the January transfer window.
I was pleased with the two players that we've brought in. I mentioned before, but the improvement in the level of quality and
An improvement in the level of the quality with the two players that have been brought in. He did then go on to talk about the fact that he's happy with the window and he took full responsibility. But there's breaking news today that Celtic actually made an approach to sign Sergio Gomez from Manchester City yesterday, and they left that one a bit late. However, the Manchester City blocked the Spaniard, who was signed from Anderlecht on a deal for 11 million back in August 22, from leaving to go to Celtic. Celtic also asked about Luke Thomas from Leicester and Hugo Bueno from Wolves. So Celtic were trying to get the players in. Brendan Rodgers did talk about the fact that they tried to go for players and clubs blocked them trying to bring them in. And there was a couple of times that they went for players. The players wanted to come, but it's just the clubs wouldn't let them go. Rodgers has defended. He said, look, when I just watched his interview, and he did say, look, when you're at the club, it's difficult to try and bring in the type of player that I maybe want. The club has a model, and I now understand that model a little bit more than what it did previously. The fact that we signed the 22-year-old Norwich player Adam Idah, which seemed to take forever to get over the line yesterday. I mean, it was how the social media team put it out so late was unbelievable, and I think that's something Celtic maybe need to work on. But anyway, it was, and some fans, a lot of fans are disappointed in the transfer window, and that was put to Brendan Rodgers also.
and coming in, and the two guys will certainly give us that over the short, medium, and longer term.
You mentioned quality a lot. You feel those two are the quality to bring the team up another level?
Yeah, but they're certainly going to support what's here, and I believe, again, it's just about having that depth and the strength and depth for us, which I thought was key in trying to build the squad, especially with the number of players that we've had out injured this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have had a number of players out injured. The manager then went on to speak about the fact that, look, it is everyone's responsibility at the club. It's not just, he says, I'm not just, what should I say? What he did say was, he said, look, it doesn't just come to the recruitment team. It doesn't come down to just the recruitment team. I have to be happy with the type of player that we're getting in. Is this Brendan Rodgers finally standing up to the recruitment team and not just accepting any old player? This is why the window took so long. And I think Brendan Rodgers has been offered a lot of players. And we'll look at the players that came in over the last window, and we'll look at the players that were put out. He also spoke about Gustav Lagerbielke, and he says there was a lot of interest in Gustav. He was happy for Gustav to go. He's obviously had that difficult conversation. But with the fact that Cameron Carter-Vickers is now injured, which is only for 3 weeks, he is only injured for 3 weeks, but Cameron Butter Victors, we're going to call him. We're going to, because he seems as soft as butter the way that he keeps on getting injured. Is that a bit harsh on Cameron? Well, I'm saying it in jest, but it's realistic. It might be in jest I'm saying it, but will it be known as Cameron Butterfingers? Anyway, we've got to laugh about it, because if we don't laugh, we cry. Cameron, there was enough of that last night on the live, if you'd seen that. But the one thing that the manager did say is, he says he's happy with the squad. He's happy with the way that it's turned out. It's a difficult time to try and get players in. They did make moves, and as I just told you, Celtic did make moves to try and get Sergio Gomez from Manchester City, which would have been a fantastic one if they got that in over the line. But after speaking with Pep Guardiola, after speaking to Pep, he decided to stay at Manchester City, the number 21, which is interesting. But you're thinking that if a player's not getting game time, the fact that he would have got game time at Celtic, due to the fact that it's a position that we tried to get a player in. And that was good from Brendan. That's what I wanted to hear. He was asked about the quality of the team, and is he happy with it? And Brendan said, look, it's difficult. It's difficult to try and bring in players, and you've got to stick to the model of the club. And you can see that the model has worked over as many years. The model obviously is to try and get a player in And he spoke about, and this is one thing that he spoke about as well, was projects. And he admitted that the two players that have been brought in are project players. And they're just going to go at Project FC. But when you look at the business model has worked. We're sitting with 70, 80 million in the bank, and Brendan says, look, it's hard to try and bring in first team ready players. And he also spoke about the wider transfer window, which I did last night. I said, look, when you look at it, there's not a lot of money being spent over this transfer window. And a lot of the ones that have been spent is loans with options, obligations to buy in the summer. So it was a bit of a funny transfer window. The fact that Brendan Rodgers said also, he said, look, I didn't want to bring in just players just to get that flashing headline up. Oh, Celtic makes signing for left back. He didn't want that, which is good. I think he stood up to the board. I think he stood up to the people in the background that are saying, right, we've got this player, and he's maybe went, do you know what? I don't think he's maybe, and then we've tried to get players, and he was honest. I think Brendan Rodgers was actually honest in that interview. I think he was definitely honest in saying that, look, we tried to bring in players, and it just didn't work for one reason or another, which is nice to hear him say. It is nice to hear him say, finally.
So much more development left in him. So, but he's got enough experience having played in the Premier League, and coming to here, as I said, for 4 months we can take a look at each other. I know he's absolutely...
So he knows that Adam Idah is a development player after him saying he wanted to bring in a bit more quality. And I'm going to be honest, he never said experience. He always stuck to the quality. He always wanted to bring in quality. We knew we needed a striker, but he's saying, look, we're bringing Adam in for 4 months to have a look at him, see what he's like as a player, and then we'll take it from there. Which means that there's maybe not that option to buy or an obligation to buy, but it might be one if he plays good enough and he does well and he scores. And I'm taking a prediction that Adam Idah will score tomorrow at Aberdeen. So remember, I told you that one first. I think there's a bit of a Paddy McCourt moment for Adam Idah. I think it could be that kind of scenario. And if you all remember the song, "Don't Sell McCourt, Paddy McCourt is going to be all right." Anyway, we'll move on for that. I think it's been an interesting, honest conversation from Brendan today, which was good. He was asked about a lot of things, and he gave frank and open answers, I think. But you tell me what you think in the comments, because a lot of people think that the manager's been lying to us over the way that the windows went. But he did say, he said, look, I didn't want to bring in players just for the sake of it. He said we could have brought in some players and then just to fill in a position, but you know, it didn't work. The fact that we did try to get Gomez from Manchester City was something else. We tried to get a few other players for the similar position. Hugo Beno would have been a cracking one from Wolves. And the fact that he also looked at Luke Thomas from Leicester, which is an interesting one. He did go on to defend the club. He says undoubtedly he wants the best for the club. He understands why the fans are a bit upset about the fact that we didn't bring in the quality that maybe that we thought and expected. But he did explain the fact that we did try to go for players and it never worked out. So tell me your thoughts in the comment section of the video. Brendan was also asked about the one and only Rio Hatate, who is out injured again. And I think all that does is leaves Paulo Bernardo secured his place in the team, because I think it was going to be a fight to see if Paulo Bernardo would be dropped straight away. And the fact that he is going to be out, it's a bit devastating for us. And he's another one, you know, Rio Butter Hatate.
So he'll come back. It looks like he actually supposedly has done both calves.
How the hell did you do both calves?
From what I've seen, so he's probably going to be 5 to 6 weeks, from what I hear. So,
and that's when he gets back onto the training pitch, and then he's got to get fit, and then we've got to get him back in the team. I think he's only been fit for about 3 games this season, Rio Hatate, which is unbelievable. Do you think that he was one of the players that you thought might be sold in one of the transfer windows, either the summer, his head was turned a bit in the summer, and that's why his form was down. But it is a difficult one, and the manager just has to deal with it.
Another part of the season, this season, where we've had no luck from an injury perspective to our top
big
players.
Yeah, exactly.
So he'll be back very soon with us, and then we'll start the treatment on him. And get him back as fit as we can.
It's unbelievable to think that Rio Hatate is injured again. Tell me what you think about Rio Hatate injury. Cameron Carter-Vickers is out for another 3 weeks before he is back. Rio Hatate is out between 5 and 6 weeks, and then he's got to get back onto the pitch. That's just his rehabilitation. Then he's got to get back onto the pitch and get his match fitness up. Will he be available for the run into the season? Tell me that in the comments, because I think as a player, there seems to be something wrong with Rio Hatate just now, physically wise. Was he not one of the ones that went down? He wasn't, was he? That went down with a hamstring in Ange Postecoglou's first season. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get away from this video just now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the subscribers that have subscribed to the channel today. I'll put a link up if I'm going to do a live later on this evening. It won't be at 6 o'clock. It'll probably be a little bit later, like last night. And on that note, have a fantastic day. I think Brendan, I'm being honest with you, I think Brendan you could see it in his mannerism, his face. He's a bit peed off himself with the way that the transfer window has went. I think he's probably had a lot of difficult conversations with Lawwell and co, trying to get players in, but he's got to deal with it. And he's got to deal with it. A lot of people are saying Brendan will walk after this. No, he's not. He's going to look at the next transfer window. He's happy to deal with what he's got, and he's looking forward to the next 4 months. He's looking forward to the next 4 months to trying to win the league and the Scottish Cup with Celtic. On that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.